POV, your life as every rank in a shadow economy. Rank 00, the nobody. This is where it starts. Not with a decision. Not with a plan. Just you. Standing in the rain at 3 a.m. in a city that doesn't know you're alive.
Your pockets are empty. Not broke. Empty. There is a difference. Broke means you had something once. Empty means you haven't started yet. You find a 20 on the sidewalk. You look left. You look right. You pick it up. It's the first time today the city gave you something.
You watch the cars pass. You're not angry. You're studying. There are men in those cars who started exactly where you're standing right now. 006, you learn to read alleys the way other people read rooms. Who's in there? What they want. Whether the dark at the end is empty or full. Midnight in a laundromat. One machine running. You stare at a phone with no contacts, no messages. A screen that proves you belong to no one. 008, the door closes in your face. Not violently. Calmly. Which is worse? Calm means you weren't even a consideration. 009, look at your hands. No rings. No watch. No marks. The hands of a man who hasn't been claimed by anything yet. That changes tonight. 010, you move through the market like smoke. Nobody looks at you. At this rank, invisibility isn't a gift. It's a sentence. For 1 second, a man across the street holds your gaze. You look away first. You always look away first. Remember that. Because someday you won't.
Rank 01, the runner. 013, someone hands you an envelope. Brown. Sealed. Heavy enough to matter. Light enough to deny. You don't ask what's inside. That's the job. You move through traffic like you were born in it. Fast enough to be on time. Slow enough not to be memorable. Every red light is a decision. 015, an address on a piece of paper. That's it. No name. No explanation. You memorize it in 12 seconds and you walk. 016, eyes forward. Package secure. The worst thing you can do right now is look guilty. So you don't feel anything. Feeling nothing is a skill you are learning. 017, you knock twice. Pause. Once more. The way you were told. The door opens before the echo fades. They were already waiting. They always know you're coming. 60. 80. Then 120. You count it twice in the bar light. It's not enough to change your life. It's enough to keep you in the game. You burn the note. Not because you were told to. Because you understand something now. The less that exists in writing, the longer you exist. 020, new sneakers. Small thing. But you earned them. And everyone in the neighborhood notices what's on your feet before they notice your face. 021, 2 officers on the corner. You don't slow down. You don't speed up. You become a metronome. Steady. Ordinary. A man going nowhere interesting. 022, a window comes down. A phone drops into your hand. The car doesn't stop. You stand on an empty street holding a device that connects you to something real. 023, from above you're nobody. A shape. A pixel moving through grid lines someone else drew. But you're learning those lines. Better than anyone who drew them. 024, you study your own reflection in the bus window. Not vanity. Practice. You are learning what your face gives away. You are learning to give nothing away at all. Rank 03, the soldier. 037, you stand at the door and you become the door. Not threatening. Permanent. The red light behind you isn't atmosphere. It's a warning in a color everyone understands. 040, 2 steps behind. Always 2 steps. Close enough to react. Far enough not to crowd. Your eyes move before your head does. Every shadow gets a half second. 043, 4 a.m. in a car eating cold rice. This is what loyalty looks like at the bottom. Not grand gestures. Just being exactly where you said you'd be, exactly when it's hardest. 045, he shouts. You absorb it. Jaw tight but still. This is one of the most important skills at this rank, taking heat without breaking, without arguing, without flinching. 048, you walk away and you don't look back. Not because you don't want to. Because looking back is a habit and habits get you caught. The city swallows the moment. So do you. Rank 04, the collector. 049, you sit in a chair you weren't invited to. Hands folded. You let the silence run. He starts talking. People who always start talking. You let him finish before you speak. 050, the envelope slides across the table like a secret. You don't touch it yet. You let it sit between you for 4 seconds. Then one hand covers it and it disappears. 051, you keep books in a notebook that never leaves your inside pocket. Every name. Every number. Every date. A financial system that exists in your handwriting and nowhere else. 052, you sit in the barbershop for 40 minutes. You read nothing. You talk to nobody. Your presence is the entire visit. Reminding without saying anything is a skill they don't teach. 053, the back door opens and he's there on time. That tells you everything about the last 3 months. Punctuality is fear made polite. 054, 2 phones on the seat. One with your real name. One that doesn't know your name exists. You are 2 people in the same body. Both of them are completely real. 055, you eat alone and 2 men at another table keep glancing over. You don't look back. Power that requires your attention is borrowed power. Yours runs without you. 056, he puts the money on the table and you count it without touching it, just looking. And you both know before either of you speaks that it's short. The air changes. You let it. 057, he's been talking for 3 minutes. You haven't moved your face once. Complete stillness is a pressure no one can prepare for. He runs out of words. You wait 1 more second. Then you speak. 058, you step into the rain and call your mother. Her voice is the only thing in your life with no angle in it. You tell her you're fine. You almost mean it. 059, someone is watching you from across the street. Not police. Not a threat. Just a person deciding what you are. You let them look. You are not afraid of being seen. 060, radio off. Engine running. You count the night in the dark of a parking lot. The numbers are clean. You sit with that for a moment. Clean numbers are the only good news. Rank 05, the dealer. 061, this corner. This block. The way the light hits it at 6 in the evening. You have memorized it the way other men memorize their children's faces. This is yours. Not on paper. In reality. 062, 7 handshakes. 9. 14. Each one different in weight and duration. Each one carrying different information. By the 15th your hands know the economy of the entire day. 063, 1 motion. No pause. No eye contact. The transfer happens in less time than a handshake. You've done it so many times it lives in muscle memory and not in thought. 064, a nod across the street. That's the whole communication. 2 men, 2 roles, 1 operating system running without words. You've built something. It runs like a clock. 065, the window comes down. Eyes meet. 3 seconds of communication that contains a request, a number, and a confirmation. No words needed. The street runs on its own language. 066, you count the roll with the water running. And then you look at yourself in the mirror. Really look. You try to remember the man who was standing in the rain that first night. 067, a phone full of letters. K, T, D, M. Each one a person. Each person a node in a network. You know all of them. None of them know all of you. That asymmetry keeps you safe. 068, you lean into the car window easy. Comfortable. To anyone watching you look like a man catching up with a friend. You are. In a way. Everyone out here is both. 069, you pass the bank and you don't go in. Stacks in your pocket that belong to a world the bank doesn't acknowledge. You feel the gap between what you earn and what you can prove you earned. 070, you press a folded bill into a kid's hand on the stoop. He doesn't know what you are. He knows you always give. The neighborhood remembers generosity longer than it remembers fear. 071, a year ago your eyes were different. Something behind them has compressed. Hardened. You don't call it damage. You call it knowledge. The price of what you now know is written on your face. 072, 2 a.m. Winter. T-shirt. You take the call because there are no nights off at this rank. The cold is information. It tells your body what it costs to be reliable. You already know the answer. Rank 06, the handler. 073, you speak and they lean in. 3 men who last year would have been you, waiting to be shaped. You give them what you wish someone had given you. Clarity. Precision. No mercy for sloppiness. 074, the car moves. The meeting runs. You've learned that decisions made in motion feel different, less precious, more necessary. The city outside the window is the clock. 075, both phones. Same second. You read both screens in one glance, and in a fraction of a second you know which one costs more to ignore. You pick up the right one. You always do. 076, you watch him make the mistake from 50 feet away. You don't move. You let him make it fully. Then you walk over. The lesson needs to be complete before the correction can land. 077, you lean close. Your voice drops. The lower you speak, the more carefully they listen. Volume is for people who need to prove they're serious. You don't. 078, you sit in the car after they've all gone home. Head back. Eyes closed. You carry the weight of everything that happened today and everything that could happen tomorrow. This is the job. 079, 3 calls. 20 minutes. A problem that would have taken someone else all night. You reroute it, reframe it, resolve it before anyone above you knows it existed. That is management. 080, you speak in the meeting like your words cost money, because up here, they do. You report what's needed. Nothing more. The men who talk too much make themselves liabilities. 081, the numbers are off. Not dramatically. That's how you know it's deliberate. Dramatic discrepancies are accidents. Small consistent gaps are theft. You sit with that one day before you act. 082, dawn. Parking lot. You give them the new protocol and you give it precisely, even though you've been awake for 21 hours. Exhaustion is not an excuse they will ever hear from you. 083, you turn the phone over and over while you think. Not nervous. Processing. Some people pace. You compress. The decision arrives. You stop turning the phone. You make the call. 084, you watch them from the other side of the street and for 1 second you feel something close to pride. Then dread. Because everything they do lives on your ledger now. Both feelings are true. Rank 07, the broker. 085, to anyone in this bar you are two professionals having a drink. The conversation sounds like supply chain logistics. It is. Just not the kind anyone in this room would recognize. 086, they don't trust each other. They trust you. You are the reason this meeting is happening and the reason it doesn't fall apart. The value of a broker is never being the problem. 087, 7 digits arrive on a screen never registered to your real name. You read the number. You close the app. 30 seconds later the app doesn't exist on the phone. The money does. 088, the board updates to departed. You order another coffee. Somewhere above the clouds, a decision you brokered 3 weeks ago is moving through the sky. So is your fee. 089, you stand between them and say two names that aren't names. They shake hands. In that handshake is your entire value to both of them. You made this possible. You are the architecture. 090, 12 minutes. You study the menu like it's interesting. 12 minutes is still professional. 15 is a message. 20 means it's over. You're still inside the window. You wait. 091, you hand over the card with the real company name on it. Real address. Real phone. Everything about it is true. That's the point. The best cover is a life that actually exists. 092, you watch the exchange from a window. You are not in it. You were never in it. You are a ghost in the transaction. The most profitable kind of ghost that exists. 093, everyone around you is talking about ordinary things. Jobs. Weekends. Television. You are having ordinary coffee in the middle of an operation that spans 4 countries. Nobody looks twice. 094, the voice tells you something that would make most men stand up and leave the room. You don't move. You don't blink. You say, give me 2 hours. And you mean it. 095, your wallet is real. The cards are real. The receipts are real. You have built a life so legitimate it can carry the other one. That took years. It was worth every one of them. 096, you look down at the streets from the window. You used to know every crack in that pavement. Now it's geography. Beautiful and irrelevant. You are above it now. Literally. Rank 08, the fixer. 097, the phone rings at 3 a.m. and before he finishes the second sentence you are already solving. Your brain doesn't have an off switch. Problems arrive and the machinery starts. 098, you arrive first. You always arrive first. That gap between the problem and the consequences of the problem, that gap is your office. You work fast and you leave nothing. 099, the page tears cleanly. 3 seconds in the flame. You watch it become ash. Somewhere upstream a thread that could have unraveled an entire network just ceased to exist. 100, you ask about his daughter's graduation. He tells you she's doing well. By the end of the conversation a proceeding has been redirected. No one at this party saw anything happen. 101, 4 calls. Each one withdraws from an account that took years to build. A detective. A lawyer. A physician who asks no questions. A city official who owes you something permanent. Tonight you spend them all. 102, you sit in the waiting room. Not family. He has family. But his family doesn't know what happened or why. You're the only one here who does. So you stay. 103, borrowed phone. 40 seconds. 3 precise instructions to a voice you trust completely. The call never happened. The problem has already started to become smaller. 104, you walk the space slowly. Checking corners. Running your hand along surfaces. Not paranoia. Signature. Clean work. Every time. No exceptions. That reputation is everything. 105, you look at him across the table. He made the mistake. He knows you know. The question is whether he's worth the cost of saving. You take 30 seconds. Then you make the call. 106, 4 a.m. 1 drink. You're not celebrating. You're decompressing. Celebration is for men who needed luck. You needed skill. Tonight it held. So you sit with that quietly. 107, 2 words. You read them once. You set the phone face down. Everything that needed to happen has happened. The night is over. So is the crisis. Both feel exactly the same. 108, your hands are still on the table. Manicured. Completely still. These hands have made and unmade things tonight that other men will spend years trying to understand. They give nothing away. Rank 09, the enforcer. 109, you sit in the corner and every person who walks in finds you before they find the menu. Not because you're obvious. Because the room orients itself around you the way water finds a drain. 110, the volume drops when you walk in. Not dramatically. Just a half measure. A room adjusting its temperature. They're not afraid. They're being careful. That's more useful. 111, you let 4 seconds of silence pass after he finishes speaking. 4 seconds is a long time in a negotiation. Long enough for a man to hear the thing he was hoping you wouldn't say. 112, you sit in the car. Visible. Intentionally visible. The men outside know you're there. That knowledge is your entire contribution to what's happening. It is sufficient. 113, he's talking and then something behind his eyes changes. A sentence that started with confidence ending in a different key. He just realized. You watch it happen without changing your expression. 114, room service. Newspaper. No calls until 11. What you're scheduled to do today is known only to the men who sent for you. This morning is the last ordinary thing in your week. 115, the phone buzzes. You look at the name. You set it face down. Not because you're busy. To demonstrate, to yourself as much as them, that your attention has a value not everyone has earned. 116, you stand beside him at the reception. Smiling at the right moments. Saying the right nothing. To the room you're a colleague. To anyone watching closely you are the reason this evening stays cordial. 117, you walk in and 3 men who were already seated adjust their posture. The decision was made before you arrived. Your presence is the announcement. You sit. The meeting is already over. 118, 3 hours in the car. No phone. No food. You watch the building. This is what separates the enforcer from the soldier. Patience is not passive. It is the exercise of complete control. 119, you stand. That's it. That's the entire communication. 6 men in a room understand in the same fraction of a second that this conversation is finished. You remain standing. They finish leaving. 120, window down. Midnight. No music. The city comes in through the open window, sirens, bass, voices, tires. You have been inside the city's bloodstream long enough that it feels like breathing. Rank 10, the captain. 121, 6 faces waiting for your first word. The weight of command is a real physical thing. You feel it in your shoulders every morning before you've said a single sentence. 122, you draw lines on a map and those lines will govern where men spend their nights, their energy, their risk. You do this with a marker in total precision and you understand what it means. 123, the call is brief. Half a sentence. You already know the rest. At this level, communication becomes compression. Those above trust that you'll expand the signal correctly. You do. Every time. 124, midnight walk. A nod here. A glance there. A name called from a stoop. You know all of them. They all know you. This is not a neighborhood anymore. It is your constituency. 125, you let them both speak. You ask 2 questions. Then you give the answer and it is the only answer. Not from cruelty, from clarity. Ambiguity costs more than any verdict ever could. 126, you sit in the front row and you clap loudest. For this 40 minutes you are only a father. Not a captain. Not a manager of consequences. Just the men your child runs to at the end. 127, 2 sets of numbers on the same page. One for the business the system sees. One for the one it doesn't. You are fluent in both languages. Both are completely true. 128, dusk on the rooftop. The city in every direction. You operate inside it like a current inside a river, real, powerful, and invisible to anyone looking at the surface. 129, the call comes from above for the first time and you understand something about the structure of what you inhabit. It goes much higher than you could see from where you were standing. 130, eyes closed. Head back. The barber has known you for 9 years. This is the only place you close your eyes in the presence of another person who isn't family. Trust is that precise. 131, the house is quiet. The crew is handled. And for 20 minutes you are just a man in a room who isn't anyone. You sit in that feeling. You need it more than you ever admit. 132, first night at full rank. The silence is different now. Everything that happens in your territory moves because of a decision you made or didn't make. Lie awake with that. You should. Rank 11, the underboss. 133, you look at the city and you see a system. Revenues. Territories. Personnel. The view from here is different not because you're higher, because you understand what you're looking at. 134, he says 8 words. 8. You spend the next 72 hours turning them into coordinated reality across 3 divisions. Translation at this level is its own form of genius. 135, both phones. Real name. No name. You answer both with the same voice, the same steadiness. The 2 lives you run are not in conflict. They are load-bearing walls in the same structure. 136, you sit with the captains and carry the weight of a conversation they weren't in. Your job is to make the direction feel earned and logical, not delivered from above. You're good at this. 137, someone below you failed. And you sit across from a man who should be angry at that someone and absorb his anger without deflecting. No names. The rank costs something. Tonight it costs this. 138, the front door would open. You use the back anyway. You never let comfort turn into habit and habit turn into visibility. The back door is where the real work has always been. 139, the money moves through 3 steps, 2 entities, real employees, real filings. By the time it arrives it is clean. The journey that cleaned it is the most sophisticated thing you've ever built. 140, you spin your wife on the dance floor and she laughs and you are, for exactly this moment, just a husband at a wedding. Nobody in this room knows. That is everything you worked for. 141, he asks something slightly wrong. Not wrong enough for a juniorman to notice. But you notice. This is a test. You pause the right length of time. Then you give the answer that proves you passed. 142, the driver navigates. You think. This is your office now, moving, thinking, holding a structure so complex it would take a team of analysts to map what you carry in your head alone. 143, you sign a real contract for a real company that employs real people. And somewhere inside that legitimacy, years of work are becoming untouchable. You sign clearly. You sign without hesitation. 144, your hand on the handle. You know what's in the room. You've been summoned to make a decision that will reorder something significant. You breathe once. Then you open the door. Rank 12, the boss. 145, the books are real. The fireplace is real. The life is real. You didn't build this as cover. You built it because at some point you needed something no amount of money could buy, the appearance of having always belonged here. 146, 5 words. You don't repeat them. You don't explain them. The man across from you has been trained to expand 5 words into coordinated reality. He stands. He leaves. The city begins to move. 147, he's telling you what happened. You already know. You knew yesterday. You listen anyway. A good leader makes room for the person reporting to feel heard. Then you tell him what comes next. 148, the photographer captures the handshake. Both men are smiling. In the frame is a legitimate friendship between 2 public figures. Outside the frame is the actual relationship. Both are real. 149, coffee. Newspaper. A call to your accountant. Your attorney. A man whose title doesn't exist on any chart. Ordinary morning. Extraordinary radius. The city starts moving before you finish the cup. 150, you bring her the flower she likes. You fix the thing on the porch. You eat the food she made. For 2 hours you are your mother's son and nothing else. That is not performance. That is why you're still human. 151, a movement so small a camera wouldn't flag it. But in this room, to the two men who saw it, that nod just redistributed the next 12 months across an entire organization. 152, you look through the window and you don't see streets. You see flow. Pressure points. Relationships between nodes. Other people see a city. You see a machine. You built most of it. 153, 3 names. 3 decisions. Promotion. Relocation. Removal. Each made with the clarity of a man who learned that indecision is the most expensive choice. The city will feel these by morning. 154, you pass the bread. You ask about school. You tell the story that makes them laugh. Outside this house the empire is running. But it runs tomorrow too. Tonight is this. And this is not small. Rank 13, the ghost. 155, the chair is empty. The chair has always been empty, from the outside. Power at its highest point doesn't require a body in a room. The decisions already live in the structure. 156, the water is warm here. Nobody knows your name. A man you used to be in a city you used to run is making decisions right now. None of it requires you. That's what you built. 157, clean passport. Clean name. A biography that is entirely true and entirely constructed. You didn't disappear. You translated yourself into someone who was never there. 158, you move through the airport and every system that scans you finds a citizen. Law-abiding. Unremarkable. No flags. The most sophisticated thing you ever built is the absence of yourself. 159, no messages. Not because nothing is happening. Because what's happening doesn't need you anymore. You built something that runs. That is the only true exit. Not escape. Completion. 160, the city behind the glass belongs to you in the only way that matters, not on a deed, not in a contract, in the logic of how it operates. You are in its architecture now. Invisible. Permanent. 161, the phone is quiet. Hold that. A quiet phone at this level is not silence. It is the sound of a machine running exactly as designed. Every quiet second is a dividend on everything you paid. 162, sunrise. No calls. White linen. The only thing left to do is live inside the life you spent everything building. You watch the light come in off the water. And for the first time in a long time, you are not preparing for anything. You have arrived.